Hi, I'm Ula Brennasdottir, and today I'm going to talk to you about Margaret I of Denmark. Margaret was born at Soborg Castle in Denmark on March 15, 1353. She was the youngest of 6 children born to King Valdemar IV of Denmark and Helvig of Schleswig. We know she was born in the castle prison, but the reason her mother was confined is lost to time. The predominant theory is that her parents separated due to one of them being an adulterer. We don't know which one, though. Her mother moved to Estrom Abbey in 1355 and died there in 1374 while Margaret stayed at Soborg. At the age of 6, she was engaged to 18-year-old Håkon VI of Norway, the youngest son of the Swedish-Norwegian King Magnus IV. As with most royal marriages of the time, this was a match of politics with the goal of giving control of Scania in southern Sweden to Margaret's father. Shortly after the engagement, it was cancelled due to the death of King Magnus's second son and how that changed the political landscape. Margaret and Håkon did marry in Copenhagen on April 9, 1363, when she was 10 years old and he was 22. Margaret was moved to Oslo and raised by the daughter of the Swedish Saint Bridget. In the years after Margaret's marriage, there were many political upheavals in Scandinavia, including the death of her only brother, leaving her father with no male heir. In 1364, the Swedish nobles deposed Magnus and Håkon, who were ruling jointly from the Swedish throne, and elected Margaret's nephew, Albert of Mecklenburg, as King of Sweden. Magnus and Håkon remained kings of Norway until their respective deaths. Following her father's death in 1375, Margaret successfully petitioned the nobility of Denmark to elect her infant son Olaf as king, despite her older sister's claim that her son Albert should rule both Sweden and Denmark. Margaret assumed the role of regent of Denmark, and upon her husband's death in 1380, her son became king of Norway. As Olaf was still underage, Margaret became regent of Norway as well. Upon Olaf's death in 1387, at the age of 17, the Danish and Norwegian nobility kept Margaret as regent due to her keen statesmanship. That included recovering possession of Schleswig and Jutland from the Holstein-Rendsburg counts that controlled the area for generations. As Margaret had no living heir, she adopted her 6-year-old nephew, Eric of Pomerania. The nobility in Sweden were very unhappy with their king, Albert, and petitioned Margaret to depose him with the promise of installing her as regent. In 1388, she gathered an army and invaded Sweden. At a conference of nobles in March of that year, she was elected sovereign lady and rightful ruler, and they agreed to accept any king she chose to appoint. The recently deposed King Albert, who called her King Pantsless, returned with an army of mercenaries. On February 24, 1389, a major battle was fought and Margaret's forces were victorious, making her regent of all 3 countries. Her forces captured Albert and kept him captive for 6 years. During this time, Stockholm remained a German-controlled city, but under the Compact of Lindholm in 1395, Margaret released Albert with a requirement to pay 60,000 marks within 3 years. The Hanseatic League, a confederation of merchants, guilds, and market towns, held Stockholm as surety, but when Albert failed to pay his ransom, the League surrendered the town to Margaret in exchange for commercial privileges. Margaret was now the undisputed ruler of all 3 Scandinavian countries, and her heir, Eric, was proclaimed hereditary king of Norway in 1389, and was elected king of Denmark and Sweden in 1396. At Eric's coronation in 1397, the Kalmar Union was established by the Scandinavian nobility under Margaret's influence. Legally, the countries remained separate sovereign states, but their domestic and foreign policies were directed by a common monarch, Margaret. This union remained until 1523, when Sweden succeeded. Despite Eric's coronation, Margaret remained Scandinavia's actual ruler until her death. Her aim was to further develop a strong royal center of power and to foster the growth of a united Scandinavian state in central Denmark. In her regency, Margaret eliminated the opposition of the nobility, curbed the powers of the Council of State, and consolidated the administration of the regions through a network of royal sheriffs. She levied heavy taxes and confiscated church estates and lands that previously were exempt from dues to the crown. She strengthened her influence over the church and on the politically important episcopal elections. Margaret's political acumen was also evident in foreign affairs. Her main goals were to put an end to the German expansion to the north and to extend and secure Denmark's southern borders. Goals she tried to achieve through diplomatic means, but in some cases used the wealth of the Union to purchase lands. In 1412, a war was fought between Margaret and Holstein over the control of Schleswig. Margaret's forces were victorious, and she attended several negotiations, which reportedly brought matters to a promising state. However, on the evening of October 28, 1412, she retired to her ship with the intention of leaving port. Before that happened, she was seized with sudden and violent illness and died. The reason for her death is unknown, but speculation includes the plague or poisoning, perhaps by King Eric. If you'd like to learn more about Queen Margaret, a great book is Queenship in Medieval Europe by Teresa Ehrenfeit, Queens and Queenship in Medieval Europe by Anne Dugan, 7 Medieval Queens by Joseph Damos, and The 100 Most Influential Women of All Time by Deborah Felder. There are many more books about her, but those are easy to find right now.